Right. Well, you had said that the cops told you they looked at you as the Tony Soprano.
Yeah, that's what they told me. I told them I wasn't impressed by that, but
yeah.
Yeah, so when my time came and they took me in there, I told them, hey, it was self-defense, And that's all I said, really. I said, it was self-defense. I walked in there, guy pulled a knife on me, I defended myself. And when they asked me, what was this guy doing? I put my hands up, I said, listen, I don't know what anybody was doing. I don't know what anybody did. But this guy right here, I was one looking out for me.
Okay, then there was the River Run riot.
Yeah, I was in there for that.
You weren't?
I was in jail in Sturgis.
Right. But that was considered a massive situation.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
How big was the riot in terms of number of people involved?
Oh, it was huge. From the stories I heard from the men that were there, it was huge. I mean, when you see the chaos just on the clippings they'll show on TV, the guns going off and people being stabbed, and I think there was a couple. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there was a couple of citizens hit too.
How many people died in this situation?
Three. One Mongol died in there. The one that was doing most of the shooting, he got stabbed to death, and then I think 3 Hells Angels.
Right, here we go. Two Hells Angels died. 1 Mongol died. Tons of people injured.
Well, I know Festus died and Jay Bell died, and then yeah, you're right. It was two Hells Angels, and then it was the Mongol, and then there was another one that was shot, but he got out of there.
And was it just basically with the Hells Angels and Mongols, it's just on site as soon as you guys see
what
each other?
It's supposed to be, yeah.
I mean, was there ever a truce of any sort? Because, I mean, things like this are bad for business. I mean, you guys are both operating illegal, enterprises. Nobody wants a bunch of attention when a murder happens or a shooting happens. That just stops business and, causes problems on both sides. Was there ever a time when the two leaders came together and said, look, we're just going to stop. We're just going to have a ceasefire for a while? Or did that never happen?
No, that happens. They have those sit-downs when it starts getting really bad. But it's like George Christie said in his words, it's not a criminal organization, which it's not, but it has criminals in it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't sell dope and stuff. You know what I mean? But there was guys who did, made money from it. Mm-hmm. But that sit-down stuff you're talking about, that was starting to happen right when I was ready to leave the club. I had this Hells Angel named Steve Thompson, who I love dearly. He's passed on. He was trying to squash this thing. And he called me up and he said, PeeWee, I need you to come and sit in on this, man. Listen, we got to end all this killing, man. This is crazy. And he was talking with those guys. And when Steve, he got killed at a funeral for a Hells Angel that they were burying. He got killed by another Hells Angel.
Wow.
That's how crazy things were getting. But he was doing the negotiations, and I guess the Mongol they was negotiating with was working with him pretty good. He was a pretty cool guy, I guess, and he sent a message back saying, guy's gone. I guess negotiations are off. That was it, done.
Okay.
Just went right back to old school business.
So that was the closest there was ever a truce, and ultimately the death of the Hells Angels guy.
But there was truce. There was truce too with the Outlaws too. They had many of them. And I'll tell you something Sonny said to me. We're sitting in Sturgis one time, and we were sitting there, and I said, "Oh man, so I heard the truce with the Outlaws is off now. Now we're back on." Sonny looks at me and he goes, "I'm going to tell you something. Every time we have a truce with those guys, we're the ones that break it."
At least he's honest about it.
Yeah.
Okay. And you had talked about how law enforcement was always trying to kill you.
Yeah. It got to a point where, I try to I took this paperwork to an attorney, a very, very intelligent attorney in Las Vegas, the one that was heading the whole Laughlin case. His first name was David. And I took it to him and I said, hey, look, I just got this paperwork and it was sent to me. This federal agent that worked out of South Dakota hated me. Me and him would bump heads all the time. He told this other agent that they wanted to pull me over, make the pack go on its way, pull me over, and then they were going to do like a setup thing where they shot me and put a gun in my hand saying I pulled a gun out of my boot or something like that. And this guy sent me all this, and I mean, he had it notarized and everything.
Was there paperwork? I mean, how do you get paperwork on an assassination?
He wrote down everything that they said, and he said, hey, I took this in front of a grand jury. He goes, I want you to read this. And the lawyer says, well, why the hell would he be doing this? What happened was, I guess they had a rollover in a car, and this guy got paralyzed. So actually, he's not an agent anymore, right? He's paralyzed, and he's collecting, but he said he was hired to do this. I believe he did. But nothing ever came of it. My lawyer goes, I think he's just angry because, he's paralyzed and he don't have a job anymore. I don't know if that was it or not. But other than that, yeah, they tried to assassinate me a couple of times out in front of my house for my bike being parked on the sidewalk in the driveway. My rear tire was on the sidewalk. My front tire was on the driveway, and I walked up to open the garage, and he pulls up and jumps out of the car, and he says, first when he pulled up, he said, get that piece of shit off the sidewalk. And I said, I will. I said, I'll have it off in 2 seconds, and I was already opening the door to the garage. And he jumps out of the car and he goes, what'd you say to me? Trying to make more of it than what I said. And I walk down to get on the bike to drive in, and he pulls the gun out, and he points it at me. He says, no, walk over here to the car. So I walked over, I had my hands up like this. He made me put my hands up, and I seen that look in his eye, bud. When he chambered that shell in there, I see him look left, look right. He's looking around, making sure there ain't nobody looking. And he goes, I'm going to put one right in your chest, big guy. I said, well, do it smiling because my cameras up there are catching everything you're doing, and my kids are going to love the money. And when he looked up and he saw I had cameras on my house watching the whole thing, then he said, get up against the car. So the whole mood changed, but I'm telling you, I'm positive I could feel it in here. Yeah, he was going to blast me and say I probably tried to attack him. He was about 5'3",
Yeah.